Greetings from EPG Pathshala. In this module, we are going to discuss about VPN and extranet threats. VPN stands for Virtual Private Network. Virtual Private Network is established in a company to regulate the traffic from the internet. Virtual Private Network provides security to the company's network. Extranet is the one in which the network is attached to the internet. So throughout this module we are going to discuss what are the possible threats and how can we put the protection for all these threats. Starting my discussion with VPN. VPN are of three types: trusted, secure and hybrid. Trusted VPN is the one in which the service provider assures that no one else will be using the same circuit. The service provider's own security team ensures that your network is not available to the people. People are able to compromise telephony providers to a significant degree. So the privacy of your data can be compromised. Secure. The second type of VPN is secure. In secure VPN, the data is encrypted and authenticated at each end. A secure trusted VPN can provide a higher level of assurance that your data will reach the other end without being subject to snooping and tampering. So I am introducing two terms called snooping and tampering. Snooping is what definitely we are talking about the security context. So snooping is unauthorized access to another person's or company's data. It is not necessarily limited to gaining access to data during its transmission. Snooping can include casual observance of an email that appears on another's computer screen or watching that what someone is typing. Snooping can be more sophisticated, saying that we put software programs to remotely monitor the activity on a computer or network device. Tampering is when the data is being transmitted over the network. Someone would modify the data, change the data. That is called tampering. Third type of VPN is hybrid. The hybrid VPN includes both trusted and secure VPN. Now we are to the term extranet. Extranet, which we call external website that requires some form of authentication. Another approach is create an external application server running terminal services or similar software. Talking about VPN and extranet, that comes to a fundamental question, that what are the fundamentals of secure network design. In our case, when we are talking with an internet, that means outside the world, we have to secure both the gateways into the extranet and the boundary between the extranet and the internal network. What we can use is the public internet presence. Whatever approach we are using in public internet presence, that can be implemented here. That leads to one more discussion that says dual homed host. Why we are discussing about dual homed host? Because the fundamental question was how to secure our extranet. In that we are going to use dual homed host. Dual homed host is a term used to reference a type of firewall that uses two or more network interfaces. One interface is connected to the internal network and the second connection is to the internet. A dual home host works as a simple firewall provided there is no direct IP traffic between the internet and the internal network. Means all traffic is passing through this host no direct traffic is available. You can see from the figure the dual home host resides between internet and the private network, and as I emphasized, all traffic passes through the dual home host. From the discussion of the dual home host, we already derived that it has two interfaces. External interface is exposed directly to the external network. This external network can be internet or it can be the other network, and that other network differs from our network in the level of trust. The host is hardened at the system level so that no intruders can intrude into the system. The choice is yours whether to choose to screen the external interface with a packet filtering or you want to put a firewall. So there are two choices to filter the traffic, whether to put packet filtering router or to put a firewall. Systems that expose a VPN are typically dual home host by necessity. The dual home host exposes services by running those services directly, as in the case of VPN. How do they do that? By proxying the services, or proxying means the another server is there who provides the service instead of the original server. Proxy says there is another identity is created or another server is created. The users will log into that server. So users are aware of this proxy server only. The original server hides behind this proxy server, so there are less chances that this original server can get attacked. So by creating a proxying or by allowing users to log directly into the dual home host. We have talked about dual home host. Now the question is it safe? Is it good, or there are problems? If the dual home host is compromised, all servers in the extranet are now exposed directly to the external network. What is the solution? The solution is severely restrict the services made available by the dual home host. So do not allow users to log directly onto the dual home host. Even the system aggressively locked down in the kiosk mode. Kiosk mode is like your ATM machine where user can only select options and retrieve data. They cannot feed anything else. So even the system is in the kiosk mode, they can sometimes be used to explore the internal network, and sometimes the kiosk mode can be broken out of. Allow external users to log on remotely. You can't require external users to install special software in most cases. The best approach for the dual home host is to use when dealing with internet exposed system, or you can put it between the networks of differing trust. Always assume that the external system will be compromised at some point in the future. So ask the administrator to monitor the activity. Always be ready for the rebuilding, so have enough backup of all the things. Harden any system connected to dual home host. So even if the dual home host is compromised, the attached system should have hard policies that no one from the outside can retrieve the data. The discussions up till now led to the observations that a dual home host provides proxy services to internal and or external clients. It has packet filtering capabilities if it is also acting as a router. It has at least two network interfaces, and the drawback we observed is permitted traffic passes through this host this all permitted traffic is passing through a single host, so performance bottleneck can be observed. This dual homed host is also called a bastion host. So bastion host in a firewall is usually the main point of the contact for user processes of all the hosts in the internal network with processes of external hosts. Next discussion is all about screened host. The screened host sits behind a firewall that exposes only that system to the external network. The advantage is a screened host is that the firewall might be able to provide more protection to the system than the system's own network filters could. The disadvantage of screened host is the firewall can be configured to allow access to other systems in the extranet to and from the external network. If the service that the screen host provides to the external network can be compromised, the attacker has access to other extranet hosts. Screen host has certain advantages. It alerts on unusual activity. It imposes restrictions on all outbound traffic as much as possible. If an attacker compromises a host behind a firewall but is unable to either upload new tools or make the compromised host download new tools from outside, the damage is limited. This says, what point I am trying to convey is, usually how an attacker tries to take control of a machine, he asks or he gives a link to the user so that a user downloads a tool. But if a user is not able to download a tool, then the attacker's attack would be limited. That means damage would be limited, and since attacker could not gain the whole control of the system, the attacker's work will be slowed down. This is how screened host works. The figure says there is an internet, in between there is a packet filtering firewall. It is connected to information server, then there is a bastion host, and in turn they are connected to private network hosts. Role of packet filter is to allow permitted IP traffic to flow between the screened host and the internet. It blocks all direct traffic between other internal hosts and the internet. This screened host provides proxy services. Despite partial protection by the packet filter, the screened host acts as a bastion host. A screened subnet firewall is a variation of the dual homed gateway and screened host firewall. A screened subnet incorporates a firewall between externally exposed systems and extranet host, and there is another firewall between the extranet host and the internal network. What you observed is there is a perimeter network that is created between two packet filters. This inner packet filter serves for additional protection if bastion host is compromised. So compromised bastion host, it is avoided to sniff the internal traffic. The perimeter network is also a good place to host a publicly accessible information server, what we call is a www server. The figure said there is a placeholder for the firewall. Where should you place this firewall? So in the bastion host itself you can put a firewall, because topologically bastion host sits at a prime position, so it is well suited for relatively simple networks, the networks which don't offer any public internet service. But then it would be a single boundary. Once someone manages to penetrate that boundary, they have gained unrestricted access to the protected network. Even this penetration may be acceptable if you are merely using the firewall to protect a corporate network that is just for the surfing the internet. But if it is a web host for the website or an email server, then this penetration is not allowed or not acceptable. The second place to place a firewall is in the screened subnet. The screened subnet provides a solution that allows organizations to offer services securely to internet users. So any servers that host public services are placed in demilitarized zone. The demilitarized zone is a zone that separates web server from the database server. That means internet is connected to web server and then web server is connected to database server. So there is a firewall between internet and the web server, and there is a firewall between web server and the database server. So there are two firewalls and your company web server is sandwiched between these two firewalls, which is called demilitarized zone. When we talk about split screened subnet, with a split screen subnet, the extranet hosts are dual home. There is a front end network segment that is very restricted, back end segment that is less restricted and can be used to administer the systems. Going ahead in the discussion of split screened subnet, there is a dual home bastion host that splits the perimeter network into two distinct networks, and that provides defense in depth. Defense in depth means the dual home host has provided a finer control on the connections, as his proxy services are able to interpret application protocols. The bastion host is protected from external host by an outer packet filter, and the internal hosts are protected from the bastion host by an inner packet filter. So this is how split screened subnets work. The internet is connected to the exterior router. There is two perimeter network defined. Perimeter network 1 that connects internet to the bastion host, and then the second perimeter network that connects bastion host to the internal network. But this time within the perimeter networks we have employed more than one bastion hosts. Now I'll teach you how to do penetration testing in an extranet. First you have to check how your extranet is configured. Test the packet filtering rules to see extra ports, those are left open. Use port scanning. Check changing the source port, whether changing the source port changes what you are accessing, and then look for the ports that might be left open. Port scanning basically tells you that you have to find out the ports which can access or accept your connection, and then you can access what a system is having. For the port scanning, there are port numbers. Port numbers are usually 16 bits and they range from 0 to 65535. If there are port numbers below 1024, then they are the reserved ports, and all others are high or registered ports. If a user wants a port, OS always allocates a port number from 1024 to 5000. Port numbers above 5000 are infrequently used. If you want to check the status, fire a command netstate -a and then fire a command netstate -n. It will give you the statistics that what all services are running on what all ports. After that you have to look for something that is failure to use list privilege. That means as an outsider you will be having very list privileges. So failure to use this list privileges inadequate separation of different levels of asset. So if a user wants a desktop folder, there should be a different level, or if a user wants a system folder, there should be a different level of access rights. So you should have a adequate separation of different levels of asset. So this what I am discussing is when you have configured your system, you have to look for something. As I said, failure to use list privileges. That means attacker having list privileges should not be able to penetrate into the system. Different levels of assets should have different separations. The third is high level internet users on extranet systems. It says if you have internal users, those are having sensitive data and they are using extranet systems, then it should be taken care of. High level extranet accounts being used on systems you don't control, that also should be checked for. High level accounts logging onto different segments of the extranet. Systems dual home between the extranet and the internal network, so all traffic should be observed. Lack of intrusion detection systems. If you want to explore your internal network, type a command ipconfig/all. That would give you a IP configuration statistics in Windows. It would show you the host name, it would show you the IP routing is enabled or not, it would show you the physical address, it would show you the IP address, the subnet mask, DHCP server, DNS servers, and primary WINS server. Then you can use a netview command. A netview command would show you what other systems are there running on the extranet. So you will get a whole list of the names of the systems. You can use the command called nslookup. It would show you what is the default server and what is its address. nslookup is basically a network administration command line tool, and it is available with many computer operating systems, and it is for querying the domain name system. What we call is a DNS. You can obtain the domain name or IP address mapping, or you can get any other specific DNS record. So now if you want to check, since you have got a list of all the systems those are connected to the extranet, you want to check whether you can ping those systems or not. For that pinging, I am showing you the for loop for /l %d in 11254 do ping -a -n 1, and you are specifying the IP address saying 192.168.21%d. We used ping -a stands for resolving the addresses to the host names. So someone might have defined the host name. When we are specifying the IP address in the command, the resolution of addresses to host name will be done by ping -a. -n count the number of echo requests to send. In our case, we are sending only one request. What this command will do, this command in a loop will fire the ping commands starting from the IP address 192.168.21.1. In the command we specified 1,1,254, that says start from 192.168.21.1, increment in order of 1 and do up to 254. So since the ping -a -n 192.168.21.1 is over, it would try to ping to 192.168.21.2, and so on. It will go up to 254. Now since you have got systems in the extranet, now you can fire a command net view and /domain, and what you can see is what all or who are connected to this domain. For that you should know the domain name. Since you have got the list of all domains, now you want to explore who all are in the electrical domain, so you can fire a command saying that net view /domain : electrical. So it will show you who is there, which systems are there in the electrical domain. Then you want to check who all are there in the local group. Then you can fire a command net local group and provide the group name. For example, I have provided the group name to be administrators, and it will list you all the members of the group administrators. What users are in the domain admin group? For that you have to type a command saying net group domain admins and /domain. The request will be processed at a domain controller for the domain extranet.example.com. So once you have got it, you can fire the command saying that for /f%d in passwords.txt do net use. Now you are passing the server name and you are passing the username, and then you are passing the %d string. Net use command connects or disconnects the computer from a shared resource. It allows to view the information about the current computer connections. You can also look for a share. For that again you can use a net view command and check who all are sharing this. So there are certain net view commands. This is left for an exercise. You try to find out how that command works. The command which I taught you for passwords.txt, they would try all the passwords written in the password file one by one to connect to the machine. So overall in this module I talked about VPN and extranet and how we can secure extranet through various techniques, and then I showed you how to find out the domain in which we are working, who all are the members, and then I taught you how to have a ping continuously to find out who all are responding to your ping request. Thank you.